Abu Sadiq, there are these individuals who have appeared online. They've been making allegations against yourself and against this call and against our community. And as you have stated recently, these allegations are false. They're not based on any evidence. And then there is the crowd that would say, well, based on these false allegations or accusations, there might be something wrong with this religion or this call. Is that a reason to stay away from this call? Is that a reason to reject the successor of Imam al-Mahdi or the person bringing this call forward, these ideas or false allegations?
Well, I think that it's quite funny coming from Muslims, Christians, and Jews that they would even consider that the existence of slander, libel, false accusations, or even if they were real accusations, which I certainly deny all of them, and I consider actually that most of them are not even worth responding to. But whether they thought that they were real or not real, if they were going to deny me on that basis or X me out, they should go ahead and X out the Quran and the Gospels and the Tanakh or the Torah especially, because pretty much all of the holy figures that exist in these religions are surrounded with scandals and sins and mistakes and accusations, and they themselves have been accused falsely according to many narrations. You have creation starting off with Adam basically renegating and betraying the trust of God and going directly against the commandment of God. You have an episode with Noah in which basically he gets drunk, he passes out, and one of his sons basically uncovers his nakedness and he gets really upset about that. You have an episode where Prophet Lot is sleeping with his two daughters in the Torah. You have an episode basically where Abraham seemingly is giving his wife to Pharaoh in exchange for riches and things of this sort. You have certain individuals like Jacob basically pulling a fast one and deceiving his father in order that he may steal the blessings away from his brother. You have basically Joseph being accused of attempting to rape or attempting to fornicate or commit adultery, and he was accused of that and he was falsely imprisoned due to that. And so imagine that story. Here's a prophet, he's accused of a sexual deed that he didn't do. What does that prove? And then in the end he went to jail. He was actually a convict and he ended up being released from that. And in the end, God is the one whom basically cleared his slate in the very end and proved his innocence to everybody. So you have scandals after scandals after scandals. You have Judah sleeping basically with his son's wife who was dressed up as a prostitute. And this same Tamar who slept with Judah while disguising herself as a prostitute in the Bible, this same woman ends up becoming the great ancestor of Jesus Christ. So there she was a prostitute committing fornication with her father-in-law, and she ends up being the great ancestor of Jesus, the Messiah. Another prostitute was also one of the ancestors of Jesus Christ, and that was Rahab, right? Who was responsible for the fall of the city of Jericho in the time of Joshua, son of Nun. There are narrations in both Judaism and also in Islam that state that Moses was falsely accused by women, that the Samari or the arch nemesis of Moses in that time actually paid an Israelite woman to accuse Moses of having slept with her in an attempt to discredit him and bring great shame upon him. And then in the end, the woman confessed that she was paid to do so or to falsely accuse. So these types of false accusations, allegations, and sexual scandals scandals in general, they have always been associated with the prophets and the messengers. And even in the religion of Islam, for 1400 years, they've been accusing the Prophet Muhammad of having slept with a 6-year-old girl. And obviously, you also have the story of the Prophet Muhammad marrying the wife of his adopted son, Zayd. And so what does any of that prove? Like, if accusations and allegations around the Mahdi or a Mahdi claimant disproves his claim, then they also need to not be hypocrites, and they have to review themselves and review the scandals that are associated with their prophets and their messengers in their books, and decide whether or not this is sufficient to disprove them or not. And we have to judge by the same scale.
I think that's extremely fair, Basadik. You've put the proof on the people by saying that the scriptures are filled with these stories, but they don't mean that those men are not from God. That's not how you'd identify it.
And it doesn't mean that the stories are true, too. And that's certainly what Muslims believe, right? They believe that all of these stories that are in the Torah are false, that they were made up, that this was some of the corruption that took place, slander in order to discredit the prophets and the messengers. They believe that to be the case in the story of Lot. They also believe it to be the case in the story of David. And David's story is filled with scandals. I mean, my goodness gracious, David, he was looking out the window. He finds a woman that's bathing. She's beautiful. He wants her. She's married. He takes her anyway, brings her to the castle. He impregnates her. He ends up basically killing or commanding the death of the loyal soldier who was her husband in order that the scandal is not made public. Then he ends up taking her as a wife, and she ends up becoming actually the mother of another vicegerent of God, and that is King Solomon. So what are they even talking about? What are they talking about? They should say nothing in regards to allegations of sexual scandals. This is totally normal. It would be abnormal for a messenger to come and not be associated with particular scandals like this, because they have always slandered the prophets and messengers, and or some of them might have actually committed some of these things, but it still didn't discredit them as individuals. And the other types of allegations of he was wanted or not wanted. I mean, first off, I don't even have anything on my record, and people are free to go and search. Being sued in a civil case in the United States for something while I was not even in the country. I didn't even know that I was being sued. It's a civil case. There's no misdemeanors or felonies that are put on your record. Civil suits, people can allege whatever it is that they want to allege. At the end of the day, it's just a little civil lawsuit between individuals. And I wasn't even in the country at the time. I never received any summons to any civil case. But let's say I had. Let's say I was guilty of all those crimes that they accused me of and more. I mean, like we demonstrated earlier, Joseph was guilty in the courts of Egypt of the sin of adultery, and he was placed in prison, even though he was innocent. You also had a fugitive by the name of Moses, who had killed an Egyptian, and he was wanted for murder by the state of Egypt, and he escaped. He was a fugitive. He was running away. So the people that say, oh, the Mahdi is a fugitive, or this guy's a fugitive, I don't think God would send somebody who is a fugitive, then why did he send Moses if that's the case? So they obviously, it demonstrates that they have a lack of knowledge of their own books. So they don't even know what it is that they're talking about, let alone do they know what is expected and what is written from Muhammad and the family of Muhammad surrounding the character of the Mahdi.
Yes, Sadiq. And in the same sunnah of Abraham, you crush the idols of today. And those who want to accuse you of that are basically saying that they stand by those false idols, and they're accusing themselves, really. And I do want to say that you have shown and expressed the greatest patience and the greatest grace by even answering any of these allegations, which are completely false. And we really thank you for that, because many wouldn't have. But you, as you always have been very merciful, are addressing these, and it means a lot. It really does.
God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you.